Having this little meeting today. We got through a couple of days of practice. Probably had as good a 40 minutes of practice to start as I can remember this year. So generally, in pretty good spirits about this week so far.
Go Michelle, Jordan, Hode, Chris.
My question is this, Coach. Obviously, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Michelle.
Okay, I'm sorry. Obviously, you guys were playing really, really well before the shutdown, so I got to think that it's really, really frustrating to kind of be hitting really for the first time, and then all of a sudden now you've got to, pause again.
Yeah, I mean it's just tough to get into a rhythm, get your timing right, and just everything that you figure out in practice and you get through game experience and you get into the routines that you're used to. And I feel the same way, even about football. I'm sure that they felt the same way. Like, what else could they have accomplished in those weeks that they missed, all the time that they missed? And that's been the case with us this year. It's been very difficult to develop any consistency to what we're doing and get more games under our belt. But we're not alone. We have company this week. Oregon has had a very similar season as we've had in terms of disruptions and guys being injured and things of that nature.
Coach, has there been any sort of indication at practice the last couple of days that maybe the team is just embracing sort of the unknown? I know that's like a hard thing to say or a hard thing to wrap their head around, but second stoppage now, is there anything that you've seen that's just saying they're ready to just take on the rest of the challenge the rest of the way?
I think they responded very well this whole week. And even I touched on the first 40 minutes. I can't remember a better 40 minutes of practice that we had today in stretches. And so I feel good about like the confidence that the team has shown this week. And they are being more resilient. They've shown that in the last couple of games, and they've carried it over to the practice floor.
Hi, Bobby. The beard looks good. Don't let anybody else tell you otherwise. And
appreciate that. I don't love it all the time. It's pretty itchy, but I have not shaved since the day of our second Arizona game. So,
okay. It looks like there may be a chance that you might have to do some other lineup changes tomorrow. Are you pretty pleased with everything that's been thrown your way, that the lineup changes usually have not really caused an adverse effect as it may have would under other circumstances?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been positive the last two games. I think we've been really productive, and our offensive numbers have improved. I think defensively we've been better. So there've been some positives with that. I don't know how much you attribute it to the lineup changes necessarily, or but we are figuring out how to win close games. That's probably the best thing that I got out of the Cal and particularly the Stanford game. Our ability to make free throws, Remy Martin hitting the paint and making a great pass to Kamani Lawrence. Kamani Lawrence making a great individual defensive play against De Silva. Remy Martin, a great steal. Alonzo Verge diving on the floor for a loose ball. Alonzo Verge making free throws. We did a lot of things to close that game out, and that was important for us, I think, for our confidence. Have been in a lot of close games. That being said, I'll just Luther Muhammad will not be at the game tomorrow, due to COVID protocols, and Pablo De Zuba will not be at the game tomorrow due to COVID protocols. And then we have an additional walk-on who will not be at the game tomorrow due to COVID protocol.
Bobby, you mentioned a lot of the things that you saw from those games that you liked. And I know you haven't been able to practice consistently, but are those things becoming more consistently apparent when you guys are practicing? Are guys learning that the habits that are needed to translate to the games are coming through?
I think it's sustainable. I think that they're buying into moving the basketball better and playing together on offense. Still, like, really, we have to stay on the guys about our help side defense and having a presence in the paint constantly, and just, and rebounding, and just got to keep nagging the guys about rebounding, and that's never going to stop this whole year. So, but yeah, certainly I'm noticing a more connected group offensively, a team that's appears to be making the right play at that end of the floor.
Chris Farndorf and then Cam Cox. Chris Farndorf and then Cam Cox.
Hey, Coach. After those 2 consecutive wins versus Cal and Stanford, specifically after the Stanford game, Alonzo Verge said that the team had started to push each other harder during practice, and he thought that that had translated over to a couple of these wins. Have you seen a new mentality during the most recent practices before the shutdown, and how have you noticed a difference in play and competition during practice?
Particularly our first practice on Monday after the Stanford game was outstanding, and because of the confidence I think that we generated from winning those 2 games. And then, you realize, hey, if we play this way, then we're going to get the results we're looking for. And so that was great, but then it all came to a halt, when I got the phone call on Monday night, and then, the investigations begin about contact tracing and the things that happen with these cases. So, but then I don't think we missed a beat in terms of just being excited to be out on the floor and being enthusiastic about the opportunity to play a really good team on Thursday night.
Hey, Coach, hope everything is going well. Just curious, how are you doing, and how are the players doing through all this mentally?
I mean, it's not, a usual situation by any stretch of the imagination. So you're always prepared for something coming around the corner that's not good, and that's just how it's been, this season. And but at the same time, there's, you try and keep things in perspective and realize the opportunity you have. I mean, our guys have got a chance to play tomorrow night against, again, a really good Oregon team that's probably been consistently the best team in the conference year in and year out since I've been coaching in the Pac-12, and it's on ESPN, and that doesn't get your juices going, then there's something wrong with you.
Hey, Coach, I just wanted to ask you about Jalen House, and kind of just how important you think his energy and his presence on the defensive end is, and how much of a factor you think he could play if you guys want to put together a good little run of games here at the end.
Yeah, it's hard for me to say something overly positive about Jalen House because I ran a 17 with the team on Saturday, and he was very vocal about me missing the sidelines because, we'll get on the players about, cutting corners, and he felt that, he called me out on that, and then he yelled that I was tired at one point, and he was having a good time watching me fail doing that sprint drill. But that aside, the Cal game, he had tremendous impact and was very disruptive on defense. And I said it after that game, it was almost impossible to take him out. He made it impossible. So some of the rotations, the normal rotations, went out the window because of the impact he was having on the game. Talked to my dad, who's a Hall of Fame coach and watches every game, and he was raving about the impact that Jalen House had versus Cal. And he would fit the criteria of a St. Anthony guard, back in the day in New Jersey. My dad had tremendous athletic defensive guards, and so he had great things to say about Jalen's contribution in that game.
Mark McClune.
Hey, Bobby. Thanks for the time today. Hey, you mentioned talking to your dad. I'm wondering how much you are leaning on him and just other coaches around America in this very strange year that you've had to deal with. I know, even Coach K, they've had their issues there at Duke. How much will you talk to him? How do you kind of lean on other people to try to navigate this strange season?
Well, I think as much as he's helped me, I've helped him. He's My dad has been a gym rat. Just he's always been in the gym his whole life, coaching, and he's been working with us, and he watches, and I get feedback, and so it's really keeping him busy even more, just following what we're doing out here and what my brother's doing at UConn.
And then have you reached out to Coach K at all? With you guys talk at all during the season, especially during this crazy season? With, I mean, they've had their issues as well.
I spoke to Coach, I want to say about 6 weeks ago, probably the last time that we spoke. And again, yeah, a lot of the issues you're referring to, and again, it's been really challenging.
Appreciate it.
Chris Farndorf, Craig Fooey, Cam Cox.
Hey, Coach, just as a follow-up to my practice question, you know, Alonzo Verge, he was really attributing the team's success recently to those new practices. He described that toughness. Were there any new drills or anything different that you implemented in those practices prior to the Stanford and Cal games?
I'm kind of a creature of habit, and I've had the drills that I've run at Buffalo, and some that I stole from my brother at Wagner in Rhode Island as when I was an assistant coach, and others that, you know, we've incorporated with Coach Berno. I think he's, you know, undervalued in terms of the ideas and things he brings, just with his experiences of working at Florida under Billy Donovan. And so I think the plan we have is pretty strong. It's just, you know, more a matter of execution. And again, the kids, you can't underestimate just the mental health part of this and the toll it takes, the stress, the pressure of all the different procedures, and these guys having to deal with all that and then be highly motivated for practice every day. And I just think, you know, the season is starting to wind down. You know, we're getting to the point where guys like Alonzo Verge have been playing the best basketball of the season last year at this time of year. And, you know, maybe he's, you know, hitting his stride and really making that commitment, you know, to practice well.
Hey, Coach, don't mean to put the cart before the horse at all here, but what was your reaction to the Indy March Madness bubble? And what do you think it'll take for you guys to actually get there, given all that you've had to go through this year?
I just think we can't focus on that yet. We still have a lot of growth, I think, and potential, and those are dangerous words, but we have to treat every game like it's our last game right now and see what that looks like in 3 to 4 weeks. You know, once we're able to aggressively try and play as many games as we can that we lost. And our administration and the Pac-12 conference is working hard behind the scenes to try and make up as many of those games as possible. And then we'll see what our record looks like and what we need to accomplish in the Pac-12 tournament. But I just like the direction that we're heading, you know, coming off two wins, and, you know, especially against Stanford, that was, you know, I know they were down a couple guys, but they had some big wins prior to that game.
Hey, Coach,
as far as the bubble, and, you know, I think we have to do whatever we could do to be safe, and to if that's the safest way to get the tournament played without any disruptions, then that's the best route. And again, you have to trust the organization is doing everything in the best interest of everyone. And that's what that event appears to be right now. It's the best path to get the tournament played.
hey, Coach, what's the thought process in running sprints with you guys, and how much do you enjoy competing with them like that during practice?
Well, Cam, it was one of those things where I knew we needed to do, you know, a little bit of conditioning after several guys being out for 4 or 5 days. But at that point, contact tracing had only given me a handful of guys. And so I knew that they might not be thrilled about it, considering some of their teammates were still not even available yet. So I thought that would be a way to put it over the top, that I could get that conditioner done. So I sacrificed myself, you know, my self-esteem and how I felt about myself after.
Can you still hang with them?
I did, because what I did was I yelled go after I took like 6 steps heading towards the first line, and then everyone caught up, you know, rather quick. And then House had his eyes on me because he was winning the thing, and he never misses a sprint. He hardly takes a deep breath. So he was just focused on all my flaws during the run, like I mentioned, missing lines and not making the time. I made it in 107. It was supposed to be made in 105. So it was good. It was a good opportunity, though, just to share a moment with the guys.
I believe we call that a veteran move there, Coach, with that head start.
Absolutely.
Doug Haller, Ethan Ryder, and Chris Farndle.
Bobby, keeping it with the 17s, is that that's not baseline to baseline, right? That's side to side, correct?
17 sidelines. Yeah.
Okay. Do you think maybe the beard slowed you down? You might would have made it in that 105 had you not had the beard.
Yeah, I mean that's a good point, Doug. I didn't give that a lot of consideration. But at the moment I was feeling like would I survive after? I wasn't thinking about the possibility of making the time if it wasn't around.
Now, just being around you for the last 5 years or so, I know usually when you do these sort of things, you take great pride in them, and you usually kind of show your worth as an athlete. Just how big a blow to your pride was it not to make the full 17 in the 105?
Well, I mean, once I got my breath finally after probably 2 minutes or so, and it gives me more perspective too on, like, we go right to another drill after like 30 seconds. I give the guys like 30 seconds to recover, and then we're in another drill. So like I needed like 2 full minutes. And then I spoke with Daniel Marshall, our strength coach, and he just said I was having a hard time with the pivoting and the transitions. Otherwise, I was fine. He said that's where I got to make some improvements. So all the wear and tear on my joints over the years didn't pay me any dividends in that sprint.
And also, do you have any idea how many practices you're down compared to what a normal season would be like?
Yeah, I mean, I could change into that and compile it, but it would. So it's a significant number, I would imagine, and even with that, we've had to take days off. Like we had to take Sunday off just because each week you got to take a day off, and it's almost like, really, we're going to take another day off now? We just had like 7. So, it's been tough in that regard, but it's been a substantial number.
Is there anything that you feel like that the limited practice that you've lost something because of that? I mean, maybe it's just chemistry, on-court chemistry, ball movement, whatever. Is there one thing that you could maybe point to that as a contributor?
I would say for sure it's just, again, the continuity of playing the games and the rhythm that each week brings, and knowing, hey, you just had 2 big wins. Now we get a chance to go fix that, turn things around. It might come off a bad loss like we did after UTEP, and I got everybody's attention, and we had some really good practices, and then all of a sudden, we don't get the Utah game, and then we go into our own COVID issues after that. So it's just been all the disruptions and the distractions more than maybe pinpointing it to one area that has been impacted the most.
Hey, Coach, can you touch a little bit on Kamani Lawrence and his impact and importance in the last few games and wins?
I think Kamani, again, has tweaked his shot, which I think frustrated him greatly at some points during the year when he wasn't having the success he was hoping for. And I think there's just subtle changes that he's made have enabled him to shoot the ball with a little more confidence. You saw that with the free throw shooting, and it's kind of opened up the door for him to be just, an all-around player that we know he is. And he's done a lot of things well, a lot of little things, kind of really like a glue guy for us. He understands, what we're trying to do on defense, understands the playbook, moves without the ball very well, will go to the glass. There's a lot of things that are very unselfish that are important to winning basketball games.
Hey, Coach, I was just wondering if you had an update on Tate Sherry and his availability with the team going forward.
Tay and I had a good conversation, and he's getting back into COVID protocol testing. getting back in the routine of doing that. And then he's going to transition into doing some more individual workouts. He's missed a lot of time, and we're gonna move along slow to make sure that he reacclimates with everything, and then we'll see what he looks like, and we'll progress him as we see fit. But he's doing better, and that's the most important thing to me. That he sounded better in our conversation, and he's interested in getting back into the routine of what we're doing.
Paul Richardson, and then we're about done if everybody's good.
Coach, I know you never write a story in the middle of the journey, but could you just kind of talk about the season in terms of how you feel about this team, with everything they've gone through, with the injuries, the personal stuff, the COVID, just halfway through this journey, what would your story be?
Well, I think that you nailed it just with, I respect the resiliency that we demonstrated, because we had high expectations, and we have not reached that. And we've had a lot of injuries, illness. We've had disruptions, postponements, and we, and the guys have not mailed it in by any stretch. They've really, even in the games we lost, I think that we, chances to win, or at Oregon State, Arizona at home, UCLA in overtime, when we were shorthanded. They've battled through that. They still have hope. We had 2 hard-fought wins at home, and so there's still hope. And these guys are battling, and they're, they have my respect for how they persevered through everything that we dealt with this year.
Thank you.
Everybody good?
Great seeing everybody again, and look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow.